Welcome back to the channel where I watch movies without knowing the runtime and count how many times I check my phone or my watch to see if a movie's gas or ass. This is Pocket Watch Reviews, and today I'm watching Pixar's latest film, Elio. Like and subscribe and follow me at Pocket Watch Reviews on TikTok. The follower counts are going up everywhere, so thank you. I didn't know too much about this movie beforehand, but I've been seeing a lot of advertisements for it on billboards and TV. The only thing I do know is there were a lot of rewrites surrounding this movie. I think after a couple years of production, the original director, Adrian Molina, left and got replaced by some of the directors from Turning Red. And I heard they kept rewriting the script and they ended up pulling in Zoe Saldana instead of America Ferrera, who was originally supposed to be in it. So far, it seems like a pretty original Pixar movie that's different than what we've seen before. And that has always been my favorite thing about Pixar. All right, let's get to the Pocket Watch predictions for this movie. I think the runtime is gonna be an hour 41 minutes. And I'm predicting I'm only gonna check my phone once during this movie. Let's see how it goes. Off to the movie.
We come to this place for magic. We come to AMC theaters.
Okay, I'm back. Let's get right to the pocket watch checks for Elio. I predicted this movie would have a runtime of an hour 41 minutes, and it ended up having a runtime of an hour 39 minutes. Only 2 minutes off. Let's go. We're so back. There was also an end credit scene with Elio making contact with space after he'd gone back to Earth. And there ended up being a second one at the very, very end of the credits that had nothing to do with Elio. I almost didn't wait for it because all the credits had rolled. It seemed like it was completely over. The Disney castle came up again. And the only reason I stayed was because the lights hadn't turned on yet. And I also had looked it up on Google, and supposedly there was a second scene coming, which I did not believe. It ended up being a teaser for Pixar's next movie, Hoppers, which is coming out in 2026, I think. The scene was honestly pretty funny and worth the wait. It was a lizard spamming the lizard emoji on his phone, his or her phone. And the phone was just going crazy, saying the word as he hit the emoji. Lizard, lizard. Lizard. I also predicted I would only check the time once during this movie, and there only ended up being one check, so I was right. The only time I checked was about 50 minutes in, so about halfway through. It was when Glorden and Elio were just It was when Glorden and Elio were frolicking around. Oh my god. Around the time when Elio and Glorden were just messing around, running through the communiverse. Overall, I thought the pacing was okay, but I'm not gonna lie, the second act for me was very tough. Almost everyone else I went to go watch this movie with fell asleep at some point during it. And the closest I got to falling asleep during this movie was in the second act when Elio was already in space. To be fair, it was probably because we went to the last showing of Elio. That might have to be a new video series for me. Watching movies sleep deprived and counting how many times I almost doze off or how many times I actually fall asleep. Outside of the pacing, I had some other issues, mainly with the animation and being able to feel how many times this movie went through rewrites. One of the things I'm kind of tired of is seeing this 3D bean-mouthed animation style that Pixar has been doing for far too long now. It seems like the latest batch of Pixar characters from the last decade could all belong in the same universe, especially the humans, which is cool, but not really what I want to see from a Pixar movie. And all the aliens from across the galaxy in the communiverse seemed like they were slapped together haphazardly and felt uninspired and flat and lacking that Pixar charm, which might have been due to the many rewrites and the unnecessarily long production this movie had. It felt like this movie wasn't super cohesive, and I could tell that there were some residuals from the parental figure in this movie, initially being a mom played by America Ferrera, who later got converted to an aunt played by Zoe Saldana for scheduling reasons or whatever. I don't know why they went with the classic both parents dying trauma. Like, one parent dying is enough trauma for a kid. And it led to a pretty predictable movie, but that doesn't mean there were parts that I didn't really enjoy. I know I complained about the animation and some of the characters in the communiverse, but I'm not gonna lie, I loved Glorden and I loved the Elio clone. The clone might be my favorite character in the whole movie. He was making me laugh every time he was on screen. The bit where he chopped off his finger was hysterical. And I really respected Pixar for trying something I hadn't seen before with how they shot certain scenes like it was a horror movie. The scene where the hair inches back towards the Elio clone's head and the scene where the Elio clone causes a distraction towards the end of the movie both felt like scenes out of a sci-fi horror film. These are exactly the type of risks I want to see Pixar taking more of in their movies. There were countless references to sci-fi movies of the past that had me geeking out. They had an E.T. reference when the kids chased Elio through the woods, an Alien reference with the hazmat suit, and they named the technician Melmac, which is the planet Alf is from. And they used Carl Sagan's voice to close out the movie, which I thought was a great choice. I think in the third act especially, everything was firing on all cylinders and was easily the best section of the movie. And I think we can all agree that's way more satisfying than the movie starting out really hot and not being able to land the plane at the end. Although the box office for this movie does not reflect that at all. This is going down as the biggest flop in Pixar history. I think the biggest issue that caused this is the precedent that Pixar set of going straight to Disney Plus during COVID. It kind of set the expectation that you don't have to watch Pixar movies in theaters and you can just wait for them on Disney Plus. Especially if it's a movie that's completely original and not something that they know is going to be worth their money. What was the last movie that came out for Pixar that did really well at the box office that wasn't a legacy sequel? Okay, I just looked it up and it's looking like it was Coco, which is crazy because it's been 8 years since Coco came out. So I guess it's not a great time to be an original children's film unless you're critically perfect. I would still recommend watching this movie, especially in theaters if you love space or your kids love space. I'm a big believer in voting. Oh my God, I can't. I'm a big believer in voting with your wallet. So if you like original movies and want to see more, go watch this in theaters. It's not perfect, so if you're looking for a perfect movie, I guess you can wait for it on Disney Plus. It does have issues, but I still enjoyed it. It's gonna be a 3.5 out of 5 for me. That's a wrap on this episode. I'll catch you guys next week. Probably gonna be a change of scenery. I'm moving apartments, so goodbye to this setup.